Yo, it's Toe from Tahada, and a lot of you guys seem to wanted to know how the Pripyat Alpha worked. So we're basically gonna cover the main points. If we head over here, I have a little Pripyat on a stick with the walking cycle turned on, and the main, if you are trying to build a bipedal walker, the main motion you want to go for is as its leg is moving back, you're gonna want the other leg moving forward, and uh, basically it's got to be off the ground. And you can here, let me fly over there so you can get a better look. Basically, the leg that is pushing you forward should be touching the ground, and the leg that you are setting up next is going to be above the ground. Now, once you have this covered, the next and probably the biggest problem for a bipedal walker would have to be balance. Since walking isn't enough, you need some sort of balance in there. Which is why I came up with this. Completely modless, completely scriptless. This is the balancing mechanism that I ended up making. Get a better look right here. So basically how it works is when when you turn on the Pripyat, it basically has this thing inside, and if we toggle it on, those little things that keep the rod straight will pull up, and then these gyroscopes will stabilize the rods, so then they will stay pointing, or they will stay perpendicular to the ground. And when it starts to tilt, this will eventually reach this sensor, and this sensor will activate gyros to correct the angle that it's at, to make it so this rod here, if it moves here, let's say, it will correct it so the rod will be recentered in between these two. And some of you may not know this, so I'm going to cover this real quick. Sensors actually have two functions. This slot right here activates when something enters the sensor range, and the second slot is when you sorry, the second slot is when something exits the sensor range. So here I have it. When I get into sensor range, the door will open. If I leave the sensor range, the door will close. Yeah. And that's basically you put the gyroscopes that you want that are overridden in here, in each one of these, and those will basically help you get your mech back on balance. And here's a little cross section. This is the lower half of the Pripyat, and I put the auto balance right here pretty snugly on a subgrid, and all the gyros are around it on different levels. And then this is the upper torso, which I just completely tore off. As for other systems, probably noticed here, let me just turn on real quick. So in the first page of controls, we have the toggle walk, we have turn left, turn right, and then we have the start up and shut down button, which are completely useless because this thing, once you get it walking, if you try to stop it from walking, it's basically just gonna fall over. It's pretty sad, but that's the price you pay when you don't use scripts or mods. But hey, it works most of the time. So let's turn her on, and then we'll press 1 to walk, And one thing from the videos you've probably noticed is if we were to turn the torso, here's the second page. Second page has some attacks in it. And I have some manual overrides for the upper body, just in case like some of the attacks overturn. You can manually correct it. So let's say we turn to the left. I'm just gonna leave it completely still, and you will notice that the upper torso will actually correct itself to be straight again. And that has to do with this little stick here. Basically, there's sensors on the lower body that detect this stick here, and this stick actually detaches completely. So this, you can basically, you know, just delete this thing. But when you shut it down, it'll reattach. But basically, when you first paste it in, it'll be attached to the rotor, and then when you start it up, it'll detach. And the sensors down here, you can hear them going off actually. So I have a little area here for all the timer blocks, and it's on a subgrid, so I can fit a lot of them. And it's these sensors right here. It should be, yeah. And these are basically keeping it, keeping this rod in between them, similar to the auto balance. And then we can do a little turn here. Now, as for attacks, we have, it's basically mirrored. So on the one, for number 1, we have start left punch, and basically it doesn't finish until you press 2, and 2 will slow down and extend the arm for extra range, as you can see. And it's basically mirrored, as I said earlier. So 9 would be to start the punch, and then 8 would be to finish it. Now there seems to be some issue going on with the left arm. I'm gonna, yeah, I gotta fix that. And yeah, this will happen sometimes. It'll lean really far back. This auto balance is not perfect. Okay, a little bit of technical difficulties. Let's just get him walking again. Alright, so in the second page, please don't fall over this time. Alright. Okay. Usually the first step is the scariest one. Sometimes he slips on the ice. So 3 and 7. 3 was the left block. 7 is the right block. And these allow for some pretty cool combos, because if you can quickly press 7 and then 9, you have this. You can block and punch. And then let me press 6 to reorient the upper body. And then I can just press 7 again. Let's bring those down. And then the third page, which was very recently added, we have in the 1 slot and in the 9 slot, left hook and right hook. Now these are pretty wonky, but they work sometimes. That's good enough. Let's go back. Basically, don't tell me you're falling over again. Okay. So it's completely automated. There's no like timer block you need to press to finish, which does mean this takes a little bit more skill in timing it and getting the distance right. But when you do land one of these...
Another one. Oh!
Oh! Man, it hurts. It hurts them. Alright. And then we have the last, well, technically the last attack, and that is the 5 button. This raises both arms, and if we press 3 and 7, we can extend our fists. And then we can spin in the direction of our choice. And this attack is really stupid. It barely works. And you're just left with no arms at the end of it. So let's bring that down. Whoa. Alright. And for the 2 and 8 slot, you probably noticed, and you've probably seen this in the video if you watched all of it, you can actually throw your fists if you have enough momentum. That's probably not the best attack to do that. Let's get some distance. Alright guys, so that's about it. I'll be posting this on the workshop soon, once I flesh out a few of the problems. And yeah, thanks for watching.